are not those who never fail, but those who never quit. A very good morning to my dear children. Welcome back to today's session. Today we are going to discuss the new chapter from history. The name of the chapter is Society and Economy in Medieval India. You already studied that India was an important trade center in the world during the medieval period. The prosperity of India resulted from agricultural progress, attracted traders from different parts of the world. In this chapter, we can see agricultural progress in medieval India, handiwork and handicraft, trade and commerce, the cities in medieval India and medieval Indian society. At first, let's see how India attained agricultural prosperity during medieval period. Shall we start? Agricultural progress in medieval India. Ibn Battuta, a traveller to India in the 14th century, has described the agricultural progress of India in his work Kitab-ul-Rihla. In this book, it is mentioned that there were 3 harvests in a year: paddy, wheat, barley, sugarcane, cotton, oilseeds and indigo were the major crops. The rulers provided all facilities for agricultural progress. To extend cultivation, Balban, the Sultanate ruler, allotted Doab region to farmers. Firoz Shah Tughlaq sanctioned money in advance to the peasants for digging wells to facilitate irrigation. Canals were constructed to carry water from the Yamuna to farmlands. Consequently, agricultural products and wealth increased. Abul Fazl describes different varieties of paddy cultivated in Delhi and Bengal. In Aini Akbari, he attests that 39 varieties of crops were cultivated in Agra. Maize, brought from Spain and Africa, became a major crop of Western India. Tomato, potato, chili, pineapple and papaya also became popular in India. The advent of new tools and technology accelerated agricultural progress. The Persian wheel used for irrigation was important one among them. The lightweight plows with plowshare and sowing drill were used at that time. They were drawn by oxen. Next, let's see the factors that helped agricultural progress in South India. First one, water prosperity in river Kaveri. That is the first factor that helped agricultural progress in South India. Next, alluvial deposit of its distributaries. Another factor, canal constructed for irrigation by the Chola kings. Another one, the measures taken by the Samidis that worked under the Sabhas, the body for village administration. These are the factors that helped agricultural progress in South India. Next, let's examine other means the people of medieval India adopted for their livelihood: handiwork and handicraft. Several industries based on agricultural products developed. For example, products like oilseeds, sugarcane, indigo and cotton led to the development of small-scale industries like edible oil, jaggery, weaving and dyeing. Weaving was the important among them. The use of charkha was the key factor that facilitated the development of textile industry. It was in the 14th century that charkha began to be used in India. Indians adopted this technology from the Chinese. With the advent of charkha, the production of yarn increased by 6 times. Weaving also advanced along with spinning. The invention of loom brought tremendous changes in weaving. The technology for the production of silk from silkworms also spread widely during that period. It was Bengal that pioneered the production of silk in the 14th century. The production of carpet and paper were other major handicrafts prevalent then. There was great demand for Indian carpets in the foreign market. In India, paper began to be used in the 13th century. Metallurgy and mining were other industries that flourished in this period. Those who were engaged in metallurgy mostly produced agricultural tools and war equipments. The production of horseshoe and iron stirrup made drastic changes in war technology. Copper and gems were mined from Rajasthan and Golconda, respectively. Salt production was another important occupation that thrived much in this period. Seashore, salt rocks, and salt lakes were the major source of salt. West Punjab and Samba in Rajasthan were the chief salt producing centers. Next, trade and commerce. In the medieval period, India had inland and maritime trade relations with foreign countries. The two major inland trade routes were from Lahore to Kabul and from Multan to Kandahar. The maritime trade was also known as coastline trade. Cambay, Broj, Surat, Goa, Nagapattanam, Masulipatanam, Kozhikode and Kollam were the major ports. The major export items were cotton, fabrics, indigo, salt and sugar. The imported items included metals, leather, velvet, dry fruits and horse. The Arabs were the middlemen in the import of horse from Central Asia. In South India, the horse traders were known as Kudra Chettis. Earlier, the Arabs had upper hand in these traders. With the arrival of Portuguese, the Arabs lost their influence over this trade and the Portuguese gained the upper hand. The direct trade between India and Europe began with the arrival of Vasco da Gama at Calicut in 1498. The Dutch, the English and the French landed in India for trade following the Portuguese. The chief items they collected from India were spices, fabrics, indigo, sugar and salt. The major shift in the trade relations was the mutual rivalry among the Europeans for establishing monopoly of trade, which converted India as a ground for the imperialist wars. It was the English who emerged as the winners in the competition. Marwadis and Gujaratis controlled the coastline trade. Multanis and Khurasanis handled the inland trade. Rulers adopted several measures for the progress of trade. Let's see some of the measures adopted by rulers. First one, constructed roads connecting major cities, granted loans to traders, constructed sarais, that is rest houses, implemented uniform taxation, postal facilities were made efficient, implemented efficient coinage system. These are the measures adopted by rulers for the progress of trade. I repeat, constructed roads connecting major cities, granted loans to traders, constructed sarais, implemented uniform taxation, postal facilities were made efficient, implemented efficient coinage system. Understood? An efficient coinage existed in the Sultanate period. Tanga, the silver coin, and Jidal, the copper coin, were in use at that time. Sher Shah made drastic reforms in coinage. The rupee, a silver coin he introduced, survived for long. Emperor Akbar issued the silver coin called Jalali and the gold coin called Illahi. Understood? Children, it's time to wind up today's session. Before that, let's recall what we have studied today. Today, we studied that agricultural progress in medieval India, handiwork and handicrafts, and trade and commerce, isn't it? I hope all should understood well. That's all for today, and thank you and have a wonderful day.